Section 1. The Call of the Wild. They say the jungle calls to you. A siren song of adventure, a whisper of the untamed. Personally, I think it was just a poorly timed burrito, but there I was, committed. Friends spoke of life-changing experiences. They mentioned spiritual awakenings. They conveniently forgot to mention the sheer volume of things that want to drink your blood, or lay eggs under your skin. Small details, I suppose, in the grand tapestry of exploration. My expectations were, shall we say, cautiously pessimistic. The brochures, of course, painted a different picture. Sun-dappled clearings, exotic birds posing politely for photos, happy unsweaty people gazing at waterfalls. No mention of the humidity, the kind that makes your clothes a second skin, a very damp, very unpleasant second skin, or the constant, low-level hum of insects, a million tiny violins, all playing a song about how tasty you look. It's the soundtrack to your impending doom, or at least your impending itchiness. I imagine myself as a rugged explorer, Indiana Jones perhaps, without the whip, or the hat, or the general competence, more like a bewildered accountant. Section 2. Packing for Paradise. Mostly regret and insect repellent. The packing list was a masterpiece of understatement. Lightweight clothing, it suggested. It failed to specify that this clothing would soon be permanently stained with mud, sweat, and crushed berries. Possibly some unidentifiable jungle goo. Sturdy hiking boots, it advised. Mine felt sturdy enough to house a small family of spiders, which I later discovered they did. They were not paying rent, the freeloaders. Then came the insect repellent, gallons of it, enough to create a personal toxic fog, the kind that makes your eyes water, and probably gives cancer to small rodents. I applied it religiously, every morning, noon, and night. The mosquitoes, however, seemed to view it as a light appetizer, a zesty marinade before the main course, which was, inevitably, me. My arms looked like a connect-the-dots puzzle, drawn by a very angry, very tiny artist. I also packed a waterproof jacket, a hilarious concept in a place where rain doesn't fall. It attacks. It descends with a vengeance, like a personal vendetta from the sky. Section 3, 50 Shades of Green, and all of them trying to bite me. The jungle isn't just green. Oh no, that would be too simple. It's 1,000 shades of green. Aggressively green. Green that seeps into your soul and under your fingernails. There's the innocent leafy green of a young fern, the menacing dark green of ancient vines, the sickly, yellowish green of things you probably shouldn't touch. I touched a few, purely for scientific purposes, of course. My skin disagreed with this scientific approach, violently. Every plant seemed to have a defense mechanism, thorns naturally, but also tiny, invisible hairs that itch for days, leaves that slice your skin like paper. But much, much angrier paper. Sap that burns, or stains, or attracts more insects. It's a botanical arms race. And you, the hapless tourist, are the unarmed civilian, caught in the crossfire of photosynthesis. I developed a healthy suspicion of anything that photosynthesized, which, in the jungle, is basically everything. The air itself felt thick. You didn't just breathe it, you wore it, like a damp woolen blanket, woven with the scent of decay, and blooming flowers, and something vaguely reptilian. It was an olfactory assault. Section 4. Nature's Little Comedians. When wildlife gets weird, you expect certain animals in the jungle. Monkeys perhaps, colorful birds. Maybe a sleek jaguar if you're very lucky. Or unlucky, depending on its mood. What you don't expect is the sheer weirdness of the smaller stuff. Take the stick insect, for example. It looks exactly like a stick, which is clever, I suppose, until you almost sit on one. Then it's just a terrifying six-legged twig, having a very bad day. Then there are the frogs. Not your average garden variety frog. These are neon-colored, jewel-like creatures, the kind that look like they escaped from a psychedelic dream. They're also often incredibly poisonous, so you admire them from a distance. A very, very safe distance. While trying not to think about how something so small and so brightly colored could end your adventure rather abruptly, nature's way of saying look, but definitely don't lick. Butterflies here are the size of small birds, flitting about with an air of casual grandeur. Their wings are like stained glass windows, intricate patterns in vibrant hues. They are, admittedly, quite beautiful, until one lands on your nose. Section 5. More things that buzz, bite, and baffle relentlessly. The mosquitoes deserve their own chapter, nay, their own epic poem, a saga of relentless bloodlust. They are the true rulers of the jungle, tiny winged vampires with an insatiable thirst. No amount of repellent, smoke, or frantic waving deters them. They are ninjas of the insect world, silent, deadly, and always, always hungry. I swear some of them carried tiny cutlery and little bibs, ready for a feast. Ants. You think you know ants? You don't know ants. Not jungle ants. These aren't the polite picnic crashers from back home. These are organized armies, marching in columns, stripping trees bare. Some bite with the fury of 1,000 tiny needles. Others, I'm told, can deliver a sting so painful it feels like being shot. I decided not to verify this particular piece of information. I took their word for it, and gave them a wide berth. A very, very wide berth. Let's not forget the leeches. Ah, the leeches. Nature's little bloodletters. They don't buzz. They don't make a sound. They just appear. Magically. On your ankles. In your boots. Sometimes in places you'd rather not discuss. Finding a leech attached to your person is a unique experience. A delightful cocktail of disgust and mild panic. Section 6. Meeting the neighbors, cultural exchange, or just awkward silence. Interacting with locals is always a highlight, or so the travel guides claim. In reality, it's often a masterclass in awkward gesturing, and smiling. Lots and lots of smiling. My attempts at the local dialect usually resulted in confused stares, or polite, pitying laughter. I once tried to ask for water. I think I accidentally insulted someone's grandmother, or perhaps complimented her prize-winning yam. It was hard to tell. The children were usually the bravest. They'd stare with wide, curious eyes. Sometimes they'd poke you, as if to confirm you were real, and not some pale, sweaty apparition. I tried to teach them a simple English phrase once. "Hello, how are you?" It came out sounding more like a plea for help. They giggled. I giggled. We bonded over my linguistic incompetence, a true meeting of minds, or lack thereof on my part. Sharing food was an adventure in itself. I was offered things I couldn't identify, things that wriggled, things that looked suspiciously like the insects I'd been swatting. Politeness dictated I try a little. My stomach lining, however, often lodged a formal protest. Section 7. Survival 101. How not to become a jungle snack, probably. Jungle survival tips are fascinating. Mostly because they sound utterly ridiculous, but are apparently true. For instance, if you're lost, follow the water downstream. This makes sense, until you realize downstream leads to a giant waterfall, or a crocodile convention. Still, it's better than walking in circles, which I did, for about an hour, chasing what I thought was a path. It was just a pig trail. The pig seemed annoyed. Another gem, you can use tampons as tinder. Yes, you read that right. Apparently they're highly flammable. I didn't pack any. A rare oversight in my otherwise excessive luggage. But I filed that information away, for future reference. Alongside don't drink water with things floating in it, unless you enjoy dysentery, which I can confirm is not a pleasant travel companion. It tends to overstay its welcome. Condoms, believe it or not, can carry water, up to 2 liters apparently. They're strong. Section 8, the character building part. They don't mention in the brochure it involves leeches. They call these trips character building, which is a polite way of saying mildly traumatic. But you'll have a story to tell, if you survive. The constant dampness, for example. Nothing ever truly dries. Your socks develop their own ecosystem. Your skin feels permanently clammy. It's like living in a terrarium. A very smelly, very uncomfortable terrarium. My character was certainly being built, mostly out of mildew and resentment. Sleep is a luxury, not a right. The jungle orchestra plays all night. Monkeys arguing, insects performing their power tool concertos, strange slithering sounds just outside your tent. You lie there, staring at the canvas roof, wondering what fresh horror the dawn will bring, or if that shadow is just a leaf, or a spider the size of your face. Character building indeed, or perhaps just insomnia-inducing. It's a fine distinction. And the food, oh, the camp food. After a long day of trekking, and sweating, and being bitten, you dream of a gourmet meal. What you get is often functional. Rice, beans, more rice, sometimes with a mysterious jungle vegetable. That tastes faintly of despair. Section 9, homeward bound, still itchy, slightly wiser, mostly just tired. Leaving the jungle is a strange experience. One moment you're battling mutant insects, the next, you're in an air-conditioned airport, surrounded by people who smell faintly of soap, not swamp. It's a culture shock in reverse. Suddenly, the everyday seems luxurious. A flushing toilet, potable tap water, no mysterious rustling in the overhead bins. It's a miracle of modern civilization, one I'd taken for granted. The itchiness, however, lingers, a parting gift from your 6-legged friends. You find yourself scratching phantom bites for weeks, each itch a tiny reminder of the adventure, or the ordeal depending on your perspective. My skin looked like a road map of the Amazon basin, dotted with red, angry landmarks, souvenirs that keep on giving, mostly discomfort, and the occasional concerned glance from strangers, who probably think I have a rare tropical disease. Am I wiser? Perhaps. I now know that water-resistant is a lie, that monkeys can, in fact, steal your snacks, and that my ability to tolerate discomfort is surprisingly high, or my capacity for complaint is even higher. I learned that nature is beautiful and terrifying, often at the same time, and that I really appreciate indoor plumbing.